Hey everybody, it's Steve with Real Progressives. How are you all tonight? So tonight I thought that I would say something funny, and then I got really upset with myself because I realized it wasn't all that funny. And then I started feeling like, well, maybe I should try and be funny. But then I was like, no, I got so few moments in my life where I'm actually funny because I am a serious guy. So it's hard for me to be funny, even though I think I'm funny, but I'm not that funny. And so what I started thinking about tonight was this scarcity idea, this idea of things not being in abundance. And, when you're sitting there and you're looking at your dinner table and your old school parents used to sit there and tell you to clean your plate because, if you don't clean your plate, there's some kid in Africa or somewhere else that's starving right now. Eat every bite, clean your plate. You can't leave the table until you eat your plate, finish your plate. And this mindset was there, and it came all the way back from Depression era thinking, okay? Because they didn't know when their next meal was going to come. And so they used all these things, all these like neat ideas that were pounded in people's head, folklore, kind of like coal in the stocking. But there really originated a period of time, though, where this was a very, very real thing. And it was a very, very real thing because, once again, people didn't know how to handle the economy. And they didn't understand where scarcity came from. And they didn't understand why things were scarce. Today, we've got a situation where we try to behave as though we can't do these nice things for each other because there's just not enough. There's just not enough. And you know what? There's absolutely nothing funny about this because it's a brazen lie. And it is a lie that keeps attacking us 1,000 different ways. Like a snake eating its tail, it just keeps going in an infinity, just a loop, an endless loop. And you don't realize how many ways we have been conditioned to believe that there is nothing there, that it's scarce, that everything is bleak, and that there's not enough resources, and there's not enough this, and there's not enough that. Folks, it is the most pervasive lie. And, part of you wants to laugh about it because it keeps happening so much. And we keep finding resources for things that none of us think are good. But when it comes to something very important, like health care, or helping out veterans when they return from a war they should have never been in, or when it comes to the people at the border, when we're dealing with people with otherness, and we start worrying about them taking ours because things are scarce. There's just not enough to go around. You can almost imagine a junkyard dog protecting his bone. Arrgh. Sitting there growling at you, sniveling at you, because that bone's his bone. And anybody gets near it, it's going to get growled at. It's going to get bit. It's going to get fucked up. Dog's going to tear you up. Think back to Tom and Jerry era, where that dog, and Tom just whacks him on the head. But the reality is that we don't live in scarcity. We've been forced into scarcity. And it's this belief in scarcity, this scarcity of pieces of paper, that leads us to doing horrible things across the globe. People's unwillingness to see a better tomorrow causes them to fight for stupid stuff today that they don't need, they don't want, that are leading you in the completely wrong direction based on the idea that there's just not enough to go around. Population control, there's just not enough to go around. You look at China, mandatory abortions, scarcity everywhere. We don't have enough. Keep the immigrants out. We don't have enough. There's not enough jobs. Automation's going to take everything. There's not enough. My God, we're always it's just not enough. And if we don't go, hurry up and fill our cabinets up right now with food. There's just not going to be enough, and we got to prep, and we got to store, and we've always got to be worried and worried and worried, and it's a false narrative. It's a false narrative. These things are built into the system. They do this on purpose. Alan Greenspan, on public record, said that he wants to keep enough instability in the economy to make people just a little bit desperate to force them to do certain things. This idea of creating scarcity amongst the people is a control mechanism. And you see that control mechanism by the shallowness and short-sighted vision of the people fighting for things like a UBI, which I talk about frequently, because I feel like we've got to beat this thing down. We've got to get rid of the false narratives. Folks, the very idea that we just need to have cash so we can buy these goods and services from these people that are intentionally keeping us poor is ridiculous. They're the only ones that benefit from automation. But they're not even benefiting from automation. What they're doing is they're keeping us as a serf class. They're keeping us down here in the table scraps based on some false notion of scarcity. There's a balkanization of society. The haves lead a life that we'll never understand. And the have-nots are busy thinking that the little guy over there is taking their dog food and they're going to whip their ass. They're going to fight after him because, after all, it's dog eat dog. Racism is extremely exacerbated by this idea of scarcity. Not enough jobs. Automation's coming. And the people that are pushing for the UBI don't even realize that they're facilitating this racist narrative. This narrative is so punitive because it makes people think they've got to fight each other, that there's just not enough to go around. There's no jobs out there. We got to have money so we can buy food and stuff like that, but we don't need jobs. We don't need a life of abundance. How do you run out of pieces of paper? How do you run out of keystrokes? Did the guy entering in dollars into the system break all of his fingers? Oh man, I can't hit the one button anymore. I've got carpal tunnel. Well, use your fucking nose, dude. Boom, 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 boom. You could still hit the keys. Use your tongue. You could do whatever. You don't have to act like we don't have money. We've got money whenever we want money. We create money. But you and I, no. Nope. You and I are stuck fighting each other. Stagnant wages, forced unemployment to keep inflation that doesn't even fucking exist down. Your health, just not enough to go around for you guys. I'm sorry. Only the people with money, the good money, the ones that they earned it, only those people deserve health care. They deserve it because they're better people than you, damn it. Don't you know this? Don't you know that they're just better than you? They deserve it, right? This scarcity narrative. Well, we're going to have hyperinflation if we help the people out. Another fucking lie that keeps us all sick and withering. Oh, but if we go for the real progressive out there and we vote for Bernie, it'll just bring about Trump. It'll bring about the end of civilization. Another lie. But if we spend on the people, isn't that socialism? Another lie. Lie after lie after lie, meant to keep us in a world without resources, scarce, fighting each other, hating each other, breeding war because we don't have enough, so we got to go to war to make sure we have more of theirs. It's a lie. The haves want to have more. And the have-nots are busy blaming the other have-nots for why they don't have more. And because of that, they worship the rich, thinking that money starts with the rich. And then every whack-a-mole loser, money crank nut job, brings up, well, the Federal Reserve, the only thing federal about is the name, man. Don't you know about the Rothschilds? Rothschilds! I used to joke about putting a bar of soap on the floor of the Rothschilds' bathtub so that when they got in, the butler could make them slip and fall, or spiking some cyanide in their old Earl Grey, because, after all, it's the Rothschilds. Rothschilds. Rothschild. You can almost hear Iron Maiden singing a Rothschild. So it's Rothschild, right? Oh, my bad. But we've told so many stupid lies meant to keep us wanting, left to keep us hating each other, left to freaking have all the wrong blame. And the people that are really doing it are laughing at us every time one of these dumb fuckery myths comes up. Haven't you read The Creature from Jekyll Isle, dude? It's like so rad, man. Like totally, like the bloodline and stuff, It's like totally. I mean, the only thing we aren't short of, apparently, are friggin' wannabe anarcho-capitalist libertarian nutters that follow Alex Jones. We seem to have an abundance of that bullshit. But we don't have an abundance of people that have seen through the bullshit and that are fighting for better. They're still busy chasing rich people tax dollars like friggin' good things only come from the wealthy. Please, sir, please give me some porridge, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir, I've been a good boy. Please, sir. Don't beat me, sir. Give me my stipend. Give me my UBI, sir. Dear sir. Please, dear sir. Are we ever going to stop? Are we ever going to stop? Do we ever really meaningfully want to win? Oh, but the rich people aren't going to give us jobs anymore. Steve, I'm telling you right now, the jobs are all going to be gone. The rich aren't going to want to hire us anymore. There'll be no more work. The robots will even be buffing their calluses, for God's sakes. Whatever will we do? There'll be no jobs, Steve. It makes my skin crawl that I brought children into the world while people like that exist that think that. Do you understand? My kids deserve better than that, whether you want better for yourself or not. Our government creates currency every time it spends. And you're still busy chasing tax dollars in a fiat world. What the hell's wrong with you? Stop begging for table scraps and start demanding that our government serves its people. Start serving the public purpose. Stop thinking that your neighbor is getting yours. Stop thinking that Spanish guy, that Mexican dude is coming up and stealing your jobs. Folks, this scarcity narrative is fake news. It's the real fake news. Oh, but actually, Steve, you don't understand about interest rates. You see, treasury bonds actually fund the government. Shut up. Wrong. It's not true. Oh, but Steve, surely you understand the market. The market is king here, Steve. Yeah, fuck you, man. The government is king. The government lets the market be king because it's neoliberal. That's what they do. Oh, but Steve, you don't understand. If we don't have investors, what if they lose confidence in the dollar? Tell that to the guy who's arresting you when you don't pay your fucking taxes. Oh, but I'll pay it in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's no good for your taxes, dear sir. But, sir, where's my UBI? Please, dear sir, I would like to purchase things from you. Please give me some money, Mr. Sir. You've got more than enough money. Please give us all a UBI. Not where money comes from. Money doesn't grow on rich people. We just keep giving it to rich people because we're too dumb to get out of our own fucking way. wouldn't it be really kick-ass if we were really revolutionary and really demanded things instead of going, oh, but the market's so bad. If we give them a UBI, then everybody will be okay then, and then we'll eradicate poverty. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Yeah, that's how it works. Wrong. Not how it works. Oh, we're afraid of hyperinflation. We're afraid of inflation. But damn it, give me everybody $1,000. Won't cause any kind of problem at all, dear Steve. I'm telling you right now, man. It doesn't. Forget the petrodollar, dude. The petrodollar's bullshit anyway, for real. But it's another tool they use to keep the scarcity narrative alive. But Steve, you don't understand. If they lose confidence in the dollar because we give everybody $1,000, Steve. Just a minute ago, you're telling me markets are king, and what if they lose confidence in the dollar and all this other crap, all the dumb fuckery from 3 a.m. blogs and stuff, CoinDesk or some bullshit, right? Isn't that what you're doing? Oh, but Steve, they wanted to get Gaddafi because he wanted to use gold. Wrong. Oh, but Steve, you got to understand, man. It's a world of scarcity. Really it is, Steve. But Steve, don't you understand? What happens if Russia no longer wants to use the dollar? What? Russia uses the ruble. But what if Japan doesn't want to use the dollar, Steve? Japan uses the yen. But what if Australia doesn't want to use the dollar? But they use the Australian dollar. Where do Australian dollars come from? Well, they come from investors. Shut up. No, they don't. The Australian government creates them freely. But the Canadian dollar, that's different, right, Steve? No. Canada makes its currency freely, too. But then what's the scarcity thing, Steve? Why are we so scarce? And why are we so worried about trying to get the rich to fund a Green New Deal and trying to get the rich to do this? But however could we have Medicare for all if we don't have the rich's money? Because after all, there won't be enough money in the country. Will go bankrupt because if they don't have confidence in the dollar and blah, blah, blah. Do you see the bullshit standing between you and success? Standing between your child and a future of abundance. But Steve, you don't understand the Rothschilds. Dude, for realsies. For realsies. Cut with the Rothschild shit. It's stupid. You should be ashamed of yourself, man. WWF was more believable. At some point in time, you got to start realizing that a dollar is nothing more than a unit of account, like an inch, a pound. Period. You can't run out of them. Period. But Steve, then how come my checkbook balances aren't balancing? How come I can't pay my electric bill, Steve? Well, because you're not monetarily sovereign, dude. But what does it mean to be monetarily sovereign, Steve? I mean, surely you just look at all the poverty. Monetarily sovereign means you create your currency when you spend it, and it's accepted because there's a liability at the end of it called a tax. The tax drives the currency. Well, then how come we've got all these people that are struggling? Because our government has been overtaken by Wall Street interests, neoliberal interests that need to keep growing their markets. And the only way to grow their markets is to take away public services so that they can provide them for a fee because they've bled out all the other markets. But Steve, surely that can't be the case. But it is the case. That's the thing. It is absolutely the case. And that's why, 97% of the money in circulation today is from bank loans, bank lending. Why is that? Because they want us in debt. Who's they? Corporations, Wall Street, banks. Well, how come we gotta fight the banksters? No, we gotta go to Congress, who gave them the freedom to do all this shit, and make them grow a spine. Because there isn't anything about the dollar that's scarce except for our knowledge of a fucking dollar. It's so simple, it's unbelievable, and they've obscured it so that we sit there and hate each other instead. I really want you to think about this. If I am the patent office, and this is something Pavlina Cherneva wrote earlier today on Twitter, it was phenomenal. She goes, the U.S. government can no sooner run out of U.S. dollars than it can run out of U.S. patents. The United States can issue as many patents as it wants, and it can issue as many dollars as it wants at any given time. It spends them into existence. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be consequences. If there's not enough goods and services out there to buy, that money can create inflationary situations, but has nothing actually to do with the money. It's got to do with the demand that money allows for and the lack of resources available. So it's the resources that aren't there, but the resources are there, and they're there in abundance. We throw away more food than you will ever know for realsies. We have the capability of creating layer upon layer upon layer of indoor urban farms. We have the ability to do so much stuff your head would explode if you ever gave yourself half a second to get off the conspiracy bandwagon and start realizing how the game is played. If you took 2 minutes to stop worrying about some sort of cult of personality thing over here and started focusing on the fact that you said follow the money your whole life, well, I'm telling you, follow the money. Learn the money story. The scarcity that you think is there is only there because a politician made a decision to make it exactly as it is. Anytime you see people hand wringing, well, we got to sell bonds, and what if we don't do this, that, and the other, and oh my God, what if the investors lose confidence? Anytime you hear that, you know that you're dealing with someone that has bought the lie and drank the Kool-Aid and is literally part of the problem. It's up to you and I to make them part of the solution and wake them up. You cannot be a progressive. You cannot be woke in any way, shape, or form. Folks, period. If you don't get this thing about money, you'll say a bunch of ridiculously stupid things along the way. Do a corkscrew with reality. Because you can't make the straight line that says if Congress authorizes the funds will be there. Government checks don't bounce. You can't say that. You won't say that because you can't believe it, because all you can think about is how somebody else might be getting yours. You're beating sweats over some immigrant coming to this country because you think they're going to take your stinking job. This scarcity narrative comes out in so many ways, and it's false, false, false. And it exists big time in the left-wing community as well as the right. It's not just the right wing that's sitting there trying to oppress the left. It's the left wing doing the dirty work for them. Oh my God, automation's going to take away all the jobs. We're all going to die. We need a UBI. You're doing their work for them. You're doing their dirty work for them. Dollars are the one thing that is in abundance if we want them to be. The sun produces an outrageous amount of energy that we could tap into and harness. There's no energy crisis unless we choose for there to be one. At the end of the day, our climate, our environment can all be made the way it needs to be made, mitigated and worked through, if we apply the resources to fix the problems. We're not scarce. There is no issue of lack of funds. That's you allowing somebody who said, what if the market loses confidence? That bullshit. That dumb narrative that keeps us prisoners. The United States government is king of the dollar. Just like the Australian government is king of the Australian dollar. The UK is king of the pound sterling. Japan is king of the yen. China is king of their currency, the yuan. You got to want to get this. You got to make a choice to get this. Because if you don't get this, you're going to continue to be a tool of oppression used against your neighbor. You're going to be used as a tool of oppression against a progressive agenda. And you're going to be used as a tool against your own family. And thus, against all of our survival. And we can't have that. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progress and Real Progress in Action. Real Progressives has been around. It's now a 501c4. Real Progress in Action. Real Progress in Action is the 501c4. Real Progressives is a 501c3. Our podcast, Macro and Cheese, can be found at www.macroandcheese.com. Folks, please learn this stuff. Become revolutionaries. Have a good day.